All right, cool. Yeah. Yesterday, sorry, we sent out.
No way. They hit the least nice game.
No, it was too late. Like, one of the students realized it.
Yeah.
All right, it's on the way.
Did you hear what Eldon said?
What?
Damn, she told you. Wow, I can't believe I saw for the PHP primer. Like, damn it. And it's like a makeup reference too. That's the worst part. What?
Why is it so quick?
Nice you.
It's like a happy hour.
Okay, are you back review with your partners and small groups? We are talking about exercise 1. What I just showed you guys, we were waiting for the unsolved examples to get slacked out, and we're doing exercise 1 the unsolved examples.
Yeah.
Well, okay, so you can.
Yeah, but there's a big
Yes, because they're
You like come in Oh, okay, then maybe it is. Because then the right is the quickest. I guess it's or where so the thumbs are used to but then Max morning devices come in like night. Yeah, during school. But then I would have to come in like 4, 3, 4 or something. And then work until 7, 8, 10. Or remote, you know, they come in physically or something. I don't know.
Are you saying sorry on behalf of Jesus as well?
They told me that I also has my
And this one's speaking about okay,
How are you guys doing with that? Let's just start. Any questions on that? Your hands, we can come around and help you guys out if you need us. That's weird. So then they have like, either they have like a call center. Do we have anything in song requests that didn't get played last time? Let's see. Internet is really slow today.
oh, I'm supposed to update that.
Okay, sure.
Yeah.
Oh, you do?
So your voltage. I bought movie pass. 30, I think it was like 32 cents. Yeah, 32 cents. Something like that. It's like 40. Yeah, I got tons. I know I got 30 some bucks. Because it's still like super heavy. And they're expecting it to become Netflix. I mean, I shoot up, even if it goes up to 10 bucks. I was looking to see this one. This one's got $1.80. I only got one. I'll use page 10.
Okay, but it's being weird. Okay, how are you guys doing with that? Yes?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And for 3 years, for a few things.
Pedro, welcome.
Oh, okay, so that's like and then just like a normal friend.
Yeah, so like they're like, oh yeah, you guys tired as an yeah,
I'm looking at the company.
no, it didn't work. That's when you get out, that's what you see. But the reception is like to the right, and then you go all the other end. So they were having meetings right after the first time.
Yeah, it was nice to have to. Because you know I work from home, so not being around people who are like,
Okay, everyone done? How's it going, guys? Where are we at with this? We on number 1, number 2? Where are we at? Which number of these are we on? Replace your React app source folder, start the application. Where are we?
Line number 13. No, 15.
15. When the user types into input fields, the value should be captured in there. So you got.
Oh, I'm still working on it.
Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah, you're on line 21. Oh. I was like, wow.
Okay, so you guys want a few more minutes with this, working individually? Okay.
Yeah. Let's see. Yeah, I'm just looking at their example and then just trying to understand it. I've already that I'm trying to practice.
You forget I tried solving line 13 I would be like, no, it's just saying sweet. Right. I meant to say that this current state. Oh yeah, yeah. Oh, you got it at yeah, the top. Because I have this one. Separate job. And then the one you were there with you.
Yeah, well, those just crazy things. So I went with Zach and Danny, and I just fell asleep. Yeah, Neil was with us.
When we did the silhouette?
I was just crazy sick. So like, I'm gonna work with you guys. I'm just gonna sleep.
Okay, guys, we're gonna take another like 3 minutes and go over this as a group. It's true. It's called Aftermaster. Check it out. So we got 2 votes for this song and 1 against it. Okay, play it.
Also, I've been using visual.
One more against it.
1 more against? Really? I don't know, whatever song Sam suggested. Where'd it go? Okay, I don't know what this song is, so I'm just gonna play it.
Yes, but okay, so I'm not a Disturbed fan, but there's a cover of this song.
Okay, we're gonna take like another 2 minutes though, guys, and then bring that to a close.
How many more minutes?
2?
Yeah. Not true. I saw him look at it.
Then they never get played.
That's a completely different story.
No, I play stuff. Yeah, go ahead and post in song request channel. We'll get played. Yeah, you are. You just have to add yourself. Okay, everyone, we're gonna go over this as a group. So, no?
No, not at you.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. My bad.
No.
Yeah, actually, I just realized I didn't know Oh, no, I have it open. Oh, I just realized, I guess if it's working, it's supposed to show up here. Oh, damn it, that stuff was long.
Sorry, guys.
I didn't put it on the screen.
Okay, everyone, let's go over this as a group. Ready? So here's what it's asking us to do. We're going to replace our React source folder with this source folder that it's giving us. So let's go ahead and do that part now. We're going to replace, I don't know what you're doing here, Sam.
Bless you.
So I'm going to tilde into CD my app. And here's a neat little trick for those of you guys who use Mac or Bash shell. You can press Control-R and search through your Bash history. So if you did something in your Bash that you want to find and do again, you can do it this way. So I'm going to search for the last time I used CP. Yep, here it is. This is the thing I want. So now we're going to change this to React Week 20. O1 activities, then this is going to be O1. Okay, so we're just going to copy that source directory to this directory. Okay, that part's done. Anybody want me to slack out this CP command, or can you guys, it's just CP-R, it's pretty easy to do. So just keep that in your Bash history, and then you'll be able to use that every time you have to copy it. So Elliot, if you have to copy a source folder, because it keeps asking you guys to do this a lot. So if you just had to do it once, it might be easier just to copy it like in Windows or whatever, just drag and drop the folder. But since you have to keep doing it over and over again, it's actually going to be a lot quicker to do it like from the command line, and then you can keep just up arrowing to that command and just change the little bit of stuff you need to change. Okay. So next we're going to start our application by running yarn start. Yeah, say what? Yeah, sure, I can slack it out. All it is CP-R, and then the paths to the directory is first the directory you're copying and then where you're copying to. So like in my case, I have this full stack lesson plans that has all our lesson plan stuff, and then I'm giving it the path to where it is. You would give it the path to where you have it in your unsolved examples that we sent you out for the week, and then you're copying that source directory to your my app directory or whatever you called your create React app. Yeah, so let me slack that out now. And my computer is being a little slow today. I'm just warning you guys. I'm not really sure why, but okay. So we copied source directory. Next thing it wants us to do is to run yarn start. So this is going to take a while. Again, the reason why it takes a while is because we're doing it in the dev environment. So when it runs in production, it will actually run very, very quickly. The reason it's slow to load at first in the dev environment is because it's setting it up so you can make changes and you start to see your changes right away. It even reloads the page for you whenever you see the change right away without having to do anything. It's complaining, though, about something. Did you have a question, Mappy?
Oh, no, I just saw that error.
Oh, okay. Unhandled error event. Okay, so it could be because we haven't done all the changes yet. So let's go through everything and see if we still have the same. Error, did you guys get an error when you got to, who got to this point I'm at now where you copied the source folder and then tried to run your app? Just two of you? Okay, no, most of you. Good. Okay. So run yarn start in our terminal. Let's see. TAs, do we know why this isn't working?
Oh, that was the start command?
Yeah. Unhandled error event, ENO SPC, MyApp public.
Try completely source file and then copy over.
Okay, let me try that. Yeah, I think that might
That's
be
what
it.
I've been doing, and I haven't run into it.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Wait, ENO SPC means there's no space on the drive,
Okay.
according to Stack Overflow.
Oh,
It might be
really?
like a temporary folder that's full, or your full hard drive or something. That might be why it's slow as well, like your computer overall.
Huh. I wonder what extra stuff I have on here then. Let me see.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just gonna delete some extra stuff then. Sorry, everyone. Bear with us for a sec here.
Yeah, it says your npm temporary folder might be full, maybe.
Where is that in the file system?
That's
Okay. So if I just do, is it just in the home directory? If I just do rm rf ~/node modules?
No, that's like the npm, the whole npm.
Well, let's see if just that maybe fix it. Maybe it will.
Okay.
Looks better now. Yeah, okay, so it's working now. I just had to delete some stuff. Sorry about that, everyone. So what's the next thing they're asking us to do here, somebody, after we copy the source folder over and start our server? Open the browser, right? It does that for us, actually, so we don't have to do anything, create React app, and it's all the stuff that it does. Behind the scenes, it opens the browser for us, and then we're going to study the rendered application. So let's go study the rendered application. So what do we have here? We have a username field and a password field and a submit button, right? These three things. It's not quite styled correctly, but that's okay. So let's take a look at this a little bit more closely with inspect element so we can see how it's structured. So we see we have a form tag, couple of paragraph tags. Now, if we wanted to be semantically correct, what else could we use here besides paragraph tags? Anyone know? What would be a better tag to use here for each of these? Label. Right, who said that? Good job, Russ. Okay, then we have an input. The type is text. The password, we're going to make sure to set to type password so that it turns our typing into little stars and stuff so that's secure. We're going to supply the placeholder. And then we have a button, and it's going to be a submit button. We're not specifying type submit, so it won't actually submit the form. Then we can see that it's including this bundle.js. Anybody would like to take a guess what this is? This is our... Yeah, it's our whole build from Webpack, exactly. It's our whole React app taken and smushed down into a nice piece that the browser can easily bite off and parse. So this concludes pretty much that step. Did everyone get this far with the instructions? Yeah. Okay. So now we're going to update the application to accomplish the following. Who did the first one of these? When the user types into the input fields, the values should be captured into the component state. Did anyone get this far? You did? Okay, cool. Okay, so Mappy, let's walk through this.
I mean, I don't think I did it right. I don't know if the capture that's.
Mine doesn't even detect into it.
Oh, that's.
Okay. So would anybody like to navigate and tell us how they did this, or do you want me to just show you guys how I would do it? Show us? Okay. Okay.
You can do it.
You can do it?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So basically, what you're gonna, you just want to tell them.
Yeah, just tell us.
Tell you how to solve this problem.
Yeah.
All right. So what you're going to do is you're going to go to the input that's labeled username, and you're going to add
a line after 19, and you're gonna put on change camel case.
Okay. Is it asking for on change or when the form gets submitted?
It says when it's changed,
When the state is changed, so he's,
when you type in.
Okay, so when you type anything in,
So on change
mhm.
equals, and then you're gonna put curly brackets. And within the curly brackets, you're gonna put E equals greater than, and setting up an arrow function.
Okay, and we'll just call this event.
And
To be
then,
clear.
yeah, just so that everyone knows what's going on. And it's going to be, let's put curlies. And it's going to be, this dot set state, camel case,
Set state.
parentheses, curlies within the parentheses, username,
Username.
colon, event.
Ah, but how do we reset the password then if it changes? So we're just going to reset the one and then the other. Okay, that'll work. Fine. So event.
Target. Value.
Value. Does everyone see how he got there? Yeah, so this is the plain JavaScript way of doing it. You guys have been used to jQuery, so that's maybe why you don't get it. Every on-click event, when we have a callback function, it's always taken this one argument of event, right? Event, is everyone with me so far? We have a callback function on our on-click. The callback function gets passed a JavaScript object that has information about the event that just happened, the click event, including what piece of information, what piece of our page just got clicked. So this is going to be the target. So the target property of the event tells us about the piece of UI, the HTML that just got clicked, and then we're going to want the value property of that. So this gives us whatever the value of that input is when it's changed. So then we'll just go ahead and do the same thing, right, Sam, for the other as well. And then this should be pretty much all we need to do for this. So this should be all we need to do. I don't think we need to refresh our page, do we?
Within set state.
Wait, change what?
That username that you just hovered over needs to be changed to password.
This, gotcha.
When you need to change the value of the cat to the respective
No.
fields as well.
That's gonna be the same.
Wait, what value?
If you change event.target value to event.target.username and .value respectively,
No, it doesn't work that way, Melvin. Because event tells us about the event that just happened, which is going to be the on-change event for the individual field that gets pressed. So if I type in an F here, this individual field is going to have a on-change event fire. It's going to get a event object that gets passed in with information about what is going on with this particular UI element now, including the value of this form field. So we're getting the event object passed in, then from the event object, we're getting information about the target, the current form field that had an on-change event just happen on it, and then from that, we're getting the value of this form field.
Okay, got it.
Okay, good. So this should be all we have to do, right? And I don't think we have to even restart the server. We can just update the page. Yes, Sam.
Can set state take a callback? Or is it then hold?
Can set state take a callback? No. No, I don't know. It doesn't work that way. Okay, so this isn't working. Let's try restart the server maybe.
How are we gonna check if it's working since we haven't put like a display function?
I put a console log down.
Oh, yeah, so shouldn't it, Oh, no, because we haven't set the value. Yeah, but we haven't set the value. So all we really need to do is just put value equals, and then, oh, wait, in curly brackets here, we'll just put this dot state dot username. And then here we put value this dot state dot password. Is this making sense to everyone? Questions on this? Okay, cool. So let's see if this is all I had to do, or we have to restart the server or what. Now I do this. Doesn't seem to save the states. Let's see if it's adding the value attribute where I want it to. No, it's not doing any of what I asked it to. Okay, let's restart.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, we didn't need to do that, because we're changing the paragraphs.
Wait, what?
So the two P tags up
Yeah.
where it says username and password, that's what we want to change real time.
Oh, I thought it would be the value of the fields themselves.
No, it's whatever you type in the value updates on.
And I think we should have used the on-click event of the submit button instead of on-change.
Yeah, that could work too, Nelson, but let's just do on change for now. It's easier.
So we don't need the button anymore.
Well, yeah, that's one way of doing it. We did it Sam's way instead. Let's just take a look at the solved example because we have other stuff to get through today. So let's just take a look and see how they did it.
Solve had a function that handled the on change.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. So handle on change. Then we're going to call. So I don't think we can call set state from within the callback itself. Most of the examples we've seen have the set state being set from here. And then we're just setting the name and the value. So we're getting name and value from event.target. And then we're just setting the value of the form field. Like I said, we're saying username call. So we're setting it in both places. We're setting in the p tag and in the value of the input. Okay, everyone see how that works? No? Okay. What don't you see, Melvin? We have a callback event here, handle input change. We're passing this in through the onChange method here. We're passing in this handle input change. Inside of handle input change, we're first declaring a const using deconstructing value format. So basically what this is doing is getting the properties called name and value outside of this JavaScript object, which is the value of event.target. So now we're going to have a const called name that is set to the value of event.target.name. Then we're going to have a const called value that is going to be equal to the value of event.target.value. So that's how this works. It's a tricky little ES6 trick. The ES5 equivalent of that, just so you guys could see, would be to do it this const name equals event.target.name, and then const value equals event.target.value. See how this works? See how this works? No? No or yes? You see, Martha, you don't see, Matt?
Yeah.
You okay? Okay. Okay. Everyone see how this ES6 feature deconstructing assignment works? There's a thing called deconstructing assignment. This is it. When you see two variables inside curly brackets on the left-hand side of the assignment, it's called deconstructing assignment. This means it's going to pull out properties out of this object with these names. In this case, it's name and value. And it's going to set two new consts called name and value to these two things. So this one line of code in ES6 equals these two lines of code in ES5. You guys get it? Get it, Elliot?
So the name is gonna be the name of that text field.
Correct. So it's just like this. This, it does the same as this. This says get name and value, make new const called name and value, and make their values the name and value properties of this object. So it's the same as saying const name equals event.target.name, const value equals event.target.value.
Is
Sure.
that multiple variables in one shot? Just think of it that way. So, sorry.
Yeah. So this does this.
It's like bringing up the objects that are inside that object.
Uh-huh. So what if I change this to something else? What if I change this to href? Then what does that do? href, and it sets a new const called href, right? So if I change this to here, the ES5 equivalent is doing this. Hopefully everyone sees how this works. Do you want me to Slack this out to you guys so you'll have it? Okay. Wait, what?
He asked if there's a limit. I mean, not really, but.
No, not really. It's just the same as anything else. There's always going to be some weird upper boundary. If you have like a billion of them, you're going to run out of memory or something. But yeah, in theory, you can have as many as you want. Okay, moving on. Okay, so we have our handle input change. Then we're also going to have a handle form submit. So as you were saying, Nelson, should we do it with the form submit or the handle on change? They actually wanted both, it turns out. So we're going to have our handle. Yeah, Nelson.
Can you explain me why is that name has square brackets
What line?
inside and line
19.
Here?
No,
19.
19. Okay.
Oh, sorry. Nice.
Okay, so this is what the square bracket thing does. It makes it into an array of values, I think. Isn't that what it does, Jonathan, when you have this square bracket assignment here like this? It sets the name to the value. This dot set state name value.
This is property. Shouldn't that be listed as username and not name?
No, because you're taking the value for each of those targets, username and password.
That's
Right. So it's like basically like the target, the input name value.
That's
Uh-huh.
what I say. I say that there's multiple
Should
ways.
be, so it tells you like what input it's coming from.
Name, okay.
Name, like, you know how every
Okay, so it's going to be event.target.name, the name attribute on the form field.
Exactly. I don't know.
Okay, but why is it in square brackets? Why can't it just be this, the name property of this equals name? Is this any different than doing it this way?
That's like,
Name.
No, because there's more than two inputs, no? Isn't that?
Yeah, we're setting state the, we're going to set the href and the password. So, yeah. Okay, here's what the square brackets in this case do. So we have our name variable, right? We have a const called name. Putting the square brackets around it, make it output the value of this const.name as the name of this property. So typically, if you have a variable name, you can't just make the variable name output the property name. But by putting these square brackets around it, we make it output the value of this const called name. So in the case that it's username, it's going to output username. It's going to set the username property of the state to whatever value we have in the username field. If the value of name is password, then it's going to set the password property of the state to whatever value is in the password field. Do you guys see how that works? It's a little bit confusing, but not really. If we wanted to do this in an ES5 way, just to show you guys, we would do it something like this. We would say if name equals username, just to show you, I don't know if it's camel cased or what, but if name equals username, then we're going to make state equal an object with username equal to value or event.target.value. Okay, so this will do the deconstructing assignment, but I'll just write this all in ES5 just so you guys can see it in the way that you're used to. And then else, we're going to assume that if it's not username, it's going to be password, or I can explicitly state that here. If I'll do a else if. I'm doing an else if here, Gretel. So it's a JavaScript object, Gretel, that's all. It's a JavaScript object username.
You couldn't see the comment actually.
Oh, okay. Can you see it now? Okay. Okay, so then we're going to say, or else if it equals password, then we're going to set the state to this object here. Since we're using function scope, we don't need to declare the variable twice. It's already declared in the if block, right? You guys remember that part. And then we're just going to set the password property to event.target.value. Does everyone see how this works? How this is the ES5 version of what I just went over? Yeah, everyone sees how this works? The brackets just make it much easier. This way is much easier than doing it this way. And then if we have another field that we want to do the same thing on, it'll just work no matter how many fields we add.
And value name is basically what we were covering earlier, but when I was asking about the this dot event dot value.
Okay. So anytime you have a callback function, it gets past an event object. It tells you information about the event that just happened, what time it took place, all kinds of information about it. You can console log it in your browser if you want to. Is everyone familiar with this? Do you guys remember doing this in jQuery or plain old JavaScript and stuff? Yeah? Okay, cool. So we get this event object. The event object has a property called target. The target property tells us information about the element specifically that the event occurred on. So if it's a button that gets clicked, it's going to tell us about the button. It's going to tell us what the text is in the button. It's going to tell us what the href is in the button. It's going to tell us what the CSS is, all that good stuff about the button that got clicked, right? Or if it's a form field that gets updated, same thing. It's going to tell us about the form field. So that's what event.target does. We're interested in two specific pieces of information from event.target. We're interested in two specific pieces of information from the form field that got changed. We're interested in what the name of the form field is and what the value of the form field is. Either the name is going to be username or the name is going to be password. The value is going to be whatever you type into it, right? So here, if it's username, this thing is going to get set to username. If it's password, this thing is going to get set to password. Then the value is always going to be whatever value gets typed into the field.
So the name, the square value is just a placeholder.
It's not really a placeholder. It's a way to say output the value of this const called name. Because otherwise it would just directly call the property name. But we don't want to call the property name. We want to name the property the value of their const that's called name. So in order to do that, we need to wrap these square brackets around it, and that will make it output its value instead of just putting the word name. So yeah, it might take you guys a little time to wrap your minds around this stuff. You got to keep practicing it. We're going over in this class. Watch the videos. Keep practicing. More questions on this? Guys, so same thing. It's setting the state. It's a lot to do. It's a lot to keep track of. Let me see if somebody is slacking this. Okay, thanks, Russ. So, and this feature is called deconstructing assignment in ES6, if any of you just want to look up ES6 deconstructing assignment. We have a lot to get through again. So I don't want to just like race through everything so that people don't understand, but at the same time, we do have a lot to cover. So if there are no more questions, I would like to move on to the next thing, and we're going to be basically practicing the same stuff over and over again. So let's move to number 2. I, the instructor, am not going to be demoing for you how Ajax might work in React, because our React applications, just like our jQuery applications, need to talk to the server and get data from the server behind the scenes, right? Yes, you guys with us there? Yes? Very important. Très important.
But this is via Axios, correct? Because
Axios?
jQuery is,
No, this is via React.
no, but you said Ajax calls?
Yes. Through React. React has its own way of doing
Do you
Ajax.
use the Axios package or no?
No, Axios is on the back end. React is on the front end. But you'll see. You'll soon see.
Are we going to practice how to integrate React with the Express and everything from the backend?
Yeah, that is basically what we're getting to here, Nelson. So we're going to be learning to do Ajax requests. What is the purpose of doing an Ajax request? Anyone?
Get information from the server.
Martha, what's the purpose of doing an Ajax request? You don't know what an Ajax request is? Yeah, to connect the front end with the server. So that's what we're learning to do now. We've seen how to set our state with React. Now we're going to learn to get data from the server and update our state with data that's coming in from the server. Can anyone think of a scenario where we'd want to do that, where we have our app in a certain state, and then we want to get new data that's coming in from another place and update our app state based on that? Chat app, yeah. Chat app is a great example. Yes, Sam.
We're playing rock, paper, scissors with someone online.
Yes, that's a great real-world example that you guys will build all the time. No, I'm just kidding. You really won't have to do stuff that complicated even in real life. So let's take a look at what we have to do here, how an Ajax request might work. You can see we have 2 folders. One is called API. So this basically, oh, as you said, we are using Axios. You were right, Jackie. Look at that.
Jackie was right again.
Yeah, so we are using Axios. It looks like, yeah, and again, you guys have seen Axios and what it does, so you should be familiar with it at this point. Where you got our base URL, we got our query, we got our API key. The API we are using is our old pal Giphy. Yay! I actually like Giphy. And then here we have our API key, etc., etc. Now let's check out our components. We have a result list component. Again, we're doing a props.result.map, so we're going to have an array of what? What is this going to be an array of? Cats? Cat gifts. They could be cats, they could be Pokemon, they could be, I don't know what else.
The mother of dragons.
Yes, they could be the mother of dragons. Wow. Winter is coming. Yeah, Nelson.
Why do we need the key?
Why do we need the key? Can someone tell Nelson why do we need it to open the door?
Because otherwise they don't want you making the request.
Right. Okay, Nelson, do you get it? They have.
Because as we learned in the API section, you need to have a key in order to.
No. I need the key attribute inside the li line 6. React gives you never.
Oh.
Yeah, I understand.
Is that what it is?
It's a special string attribute when you're creating lists.
Oh, okay. Good to know.
Where do you see this? Wait.
The key equals blah blah blah.
Result.id. So if it complains to you about you don't need a key, so it wants everything in a list to have a key, so React can keep track of it nicely in its own internal way that it uses.
That way it doesn't.
So React native.
Okay,
Yeah.
makes sense.
No, it will still work, but it will give you a little notice.
It'll just give you a notice. React is optimized so it can make things work faster if it has this little key thing there to work with, and they have ways of optimizing things to make it work even faster, I guess.
For some indexing.
Yeah, for some indexing thing they use it, so you might as well put it in there and make your app faster if you can. Okay. So this is all there is to making an Ajax request, pretty much. I hope you guys are paying attention. We have the search form. Want to see what this looks like in the browser, guys? Yes? Okay, let's do it. Bueller. Wait, why are we talking about Bueller? I guess. I thought the other guy was kind of cool. Like his best friend with the car.
That was his name, Alex? Yeah, the guy who cries when it's his dad's so bad.
Yeah.
I did like him a little more than Ferris. I felt that Ferris was very
Yeah.
self-censored.
Yeah, he was kind of a jerk.
Yeah. His girlfriend was just too good for him. Yeah.
You ever heard of Say No to Uncle Joe or Grandpa Joe? This whole website dedicated to how Grandpa Joe was the real villain.
You think so?
There's a whole website about
Like Grandpa Joe and Charlie. Just been lazy.
I'll send you the link.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Yeah. I can't remember the song that well.
Yeah, it's just saying.
I remember this.
I did gymnastics classes.
You did gymnastics what? Oh, wow.
In the new movie.
Yeah, oh yeah, no, I figured. Yeah. It was a new one.
I'm just really old. I don't know if she was your coach or something.
We should just got into gymnastics early.
Okay, it's loading. Loading.
Oh my god.
Ah. Oh, okay. So, anybody know what's missing? Axios. Boom.
There's this movie that I really like.
Wait, which one is it? What is Charlie? I thought the book was Charlie and the book was Charlie and the Chocolate. I think Willy Wonka was Gene. What's his name? Gene Wilder.
No, Willy Wonka was the old.
Really?
Oh my god. When it goes up, it's more so she's been in the King's Speech. She's been a lot of. She's been acting since she was like 16.
Wait, what is kombucha, Gretel? Oh, but I thought they might have a lot, like they have mocha, chai, jasmine. I was thinking they might have kombucha. JS. Why don't we make that, Jonathan? Why don't we make it kombucha JS? I don't know. It doesn't have to do just kombucha JS, like they have jasmine JS, mocha JS. Kombucha, you know kombucha, the weird tea that we drink? Make that a JavaScript library. It's not weird. Yes. Yeah, just like jasmine and chai. Somebody should do that, take that name before it gets taken. Skipping. What?
Also, you're not providing.
No, I know. I plugged it in. It just doesn't correct itself. Unhandled error manifest.json. Blah blah blah. Okay, so I have to do this. npm dash I. Why is it doing this, Jonathan? Public. Oh, jeez. What can I delete on here? Okay. Sorry, this is kind of a slow class tonight, everyone. Pictures.
And then they never gave a release date. Everyone releases them. Because they experienced some internal delays.
But I felt the same way about my.
Oh, I see. It does. Oh, it does.
Oh, that's a
That's a
spin on it. This one?
Primary colors.
Incredible.
It's literally a direct continuation from the first movie.
Damn, I don't know if
But Wreck-It Ralph 2? I'm so excited. Wreck-It Ralph 2 comes out in November. Oh, so I really think it's always
they're working on current
the 7.
I don't spirit.
Yes, I'm Scorpio, and I'm sure the moment you go to my horoscope, I'm roasting. Okay, but my sister's real yeah, but you're really crazy. I'm a Smith. I know you're crazy. Yeah, you are like. Whenever you bring up that shit from college, I'm like, this was a cake.
Okay, looks like it's working finally, maybe.
This is so funny. It's like not even the knitting, it's the fucking buzz. The buzz. It works.
It works. So we get our Giphy gifts from the Giphy API. So let's take a look at how we're doing this, everyone. Then we'll go on break, and then you guys will get to try it yourselves, or maybe we'll mob on it, whatever y'all want. Cheer up, web developers. Cheer up, web developers. Can you sing that song to the class to cheer them up and get them motivated?
We're trying to figure out what the rest of the lyrics were.
I just cheer up, yeah, no, it's like you have stuff to live for. You get one candy bar a year. Like, it's not that bad. Yeah. Okay, well, I don't know, how did we get on the subject of Charlie and the Chocolate Factory anyway?
Oh, I guess it just went into a full circle.
Oh, the gymnastics with the girl.
Oh no, I started before that.
I didn't hear that.
No, we started off with.
Wait, you did gymnastics with a girl that was in the movie?
In the second one.
In the second one?
Yeah, I love
Really?
it. Just got something.
Really? Huh.
I worked at Gainesville with the boy that played the jungle. Took me 10 minutes.
Huh. Cool. Do you still talk to her? Oh, okay. She's like too cool for you now. She's a movie star. Huh. Okay.
Damn, that'd be nice.
What, that's her?
Wait, no.
Oh, damn, that's her!
Okay, guys, so we're going to talk about React now and Axios and all this stuff. So let's check out this project structure we have. It starts as always with our index.js. The index.js, we're importing this stuff, React, React DOM, app. Then we're just taking our app component, putting it inside our root div. This is the same as every other app that we've done so far. We're just setting app to be a container for our search results container, which goes inside components. As you notice, they don't give each component its own folder in this example, the way they do in others with the index.js and all that stuff, and each side, each individual component directory. Why? I don't know. It's their choice. Oh, yeah, they didn't want to do the individual. So you guys can do it really either way. It's up to you.
Yeah, this is how I've seen it in other online videos.
Yeah, I kind of like it better this way. I think it's easier. I think it's kind of annoying to have to make the extra directory. But if you want your images in CSS all in the same place, it's good. And it's really good if you're on a bigger team, because that way you don't like step on each other's toes. It's like, okay, you work on the search component. You have all your stuff in one folder. Okay, we're going to use this component did mount that I talked about last night in our webcast. This basically sets the state of the component when it mounts. Right? Did I say that right? Component did mount. Sets the state. Yeah, it's kind of like an onload. It says when the component did mount, then we're going to this dot search Giphy, which is this custom method that we have defined here. And then we're going to call the API.search method from our API, which returns a promise. So let's go ahead and look at our API.js. We have one method called search. We're using the export default pattern here. We have one method called search. It just takes one parameter query, the query we're searching for, whether it's kittens or Pokemon or whatever. And then it's just going to use Axios to go to Giphy and get us GIFs based on whatever our query was. Make sense to everyone? We're passing in the base URL for Giphy. We're passing in the query, whether it's kittens, Pokemon, whatever. Then we're passing in our API key. It's going to return to us what? Anybody know? It's been following along. It's going to return to us a promise. Right. It's going to return a promise. And we can see this. Sorry, I've got. Where was I? Sorry, guys. It was result list. No, it was search results. Yeah. The search results, so whenever the component mounts, every time it's going to call our search Giphy method, which will go to Giphy, pull down the latest GIFs from Giphy about kittens, right? Every single time that we refresh the page or the component loads for any reason. Then our search Giphy method that we are defining down here, we're calling this API search Giphy that we just saw, passing in the query this search Giphy method that we just looked at in our util/api.js returns a promise, as we said, right? So it returns this promise, and that's what makes this chainable, because api.search.query will return a promise. Promises have the ability to chain on the then and the catch and all of that stuff, so we can basically capture the different eventualities and do stuff, whether it fails or succeeds or whatever. So this is why this works. Does everyone understand this? We're calling the method from our API.js. It returns a promise. Because it returns a promise, we can chain on the then and the catch.
That's why we're not passing it callback.
Yes, we're using promises instead of callbacks. Another approach, which would be like the more old-fashioned way, is we could get rid of all this stuff here, and then we could just pass in our callback function. Here's a second parameter to search, so we would pass in our callback, whatever it was. But then we can't handle the errors and the different stuff that happens. This gives us a lot more control. Are you okay? Bless you. So yeah, this just gives us more control. It's kind of a better way to do it. Then we have a handle input change events. Here, they didn't do the deconstructing assignment that they did in our other example for some reason. I don't know why they did it in one but not in the other. So you guys could choose to do the deconstructing assignment or not. I guess they're just showing it to you guys both ways. So if you think it's easier just to write it out.
19, why is it results res.data.data?
This has to do with the structure of the JSON coming back from the Giphy API. So the response.data the first dot data, I think, is a feature of Axios, that it puts all of your response data in a data object, and then Giphy also decides to put the data in a data object. So I'm guessing that's why it happens that way.
That's what you just call the argument on the actual Axios.
Yeah, it's just response.data, and then Giphy probably also just has a property.data of their data object that they send back. So we have a handle input change method. Again, it gets an event object as an argument passed into the callback function, right, for the handle input change. The event then has a property called target. This target has properties called name and value. Very, very simple to the last example we just saw. The only difference is, of course, they're using the simpler ES5 syntax for this instead of the ES6 deconstructing assignment, which we just saw.
So they're doing this handle input change this way with the name and the value?
Right, correct. The other way.
You want to be able to use it for any, right?
No, this is exactly the same. The other example that we just saw would have done the exact same thing. They just did it.
You saw the way that I did, like when I was telling you how to solve the previous one, and that one like did a separate thing for each input.
Yeah, no, I think we're talking about two different problems here, Sam. So the way they did it in the last example was they did this: const name, comma, value, right?
My question doesn't have anything to do with
Oh, okay. So we're still talking about deconstructing assignment for right now.
Sorry about that.
I think the name the curly brackets is to name that property.
Correct, guys. So sorry, Sam. Like, what were you talking about, Sam?
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to derail.
Yeah, what were we talking? So does everyone understand how deconstructing assignment works?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. What was your question, Sam?
You saw the way I decided to solve the last problem.
With regard to what? You got to be more specific.
With the like how to handle input changes for the two different inputs. I basically said for this one, change this.
Right. So you didn't have a handle method. You just tried to set the state directly from the onClick event. I don't think you can do it that way. It's preferred to do it the way they're showing you, where you have like a wrapper function that says handle on change event, and then from there you handle the this.set state, or from there you call the this.set state. You're not supposed to call the this.set state directly, I think. If you want to play around with it and find out different ways of doing it, you can. This is the way that we know works, though. I mean, yeah, if your point is that, yeah, maybe you don't need to define this extra method, you could just call the this.set state directly. Yeah, maybe you can get that to work.
No, it's not class.
My question was the benefit of doing it this way is that you can reuse that handle input change.
Input change other places. Yeah, it's more defined. It's just a better way to do it for a number of reasons. Okay. So any questions on this? You guys all understand how this works? Yeah. Sure.
Like those functions like handle forms.
Uh-huh.
There's no var or
That's a ES6 thing about the way the ES6 classes work. It's the same way that we're doing the render function. It just assumes that it's a property of the class. If you don't set anything, it's just going to make it like a public function of the class. It isn't a var or a const or anything like that. It's either a method or property of the class proper. So in ES6, they just added this new construct for classes. So in Java, say, or proper object-oriented languages, things inside of objects aren't vars or const or let. They are just either properties or methods of that object. So JavaScript classes work pretty much the same way. Classes have properties or methods. Then they can also have constant lets and vars as well if they want to. But these are just properties and methods of the class.
So if you put var
no, the scope and stuff would change slightly, and where they're accessible, where they're public and private, all of that would change slightly. It's another way of handling data. It's another type of wrapper for a value.
when you do it like that, it's a method of the class. So you notice that you always use this dot search Giphy. If you do var, you just search. It's a variable inside.
Yeah.
When we refer to this, it means the class, right?
This means the class. The contextual this within a class does refer to the class. Yes. Okay, we're going to break if there are no more questions. And when we come back, you guys will get a chance to try it out. Back in 20 minutes. 8:15. Hey, Pedro. How's it going?
The first week? Okay.
No, I defined that.
That's what I did. I scheduled it on a day during lunchtime because first schedule was up to like 1:30 or 3. And I'm just like, okay.
I was like, I can't do that. And she was like, when you get out, like 4:30, she was like 4:30, and I was like, great. I was like, I don't have to do it at lunch, there's no way that I'm doing it live. It's just not.
I can foresee this me having to go to the lunch. Just because you know me and that's what it is. So not just
Whatever that class is, after you close the class, you can do the class. It's a fun class. If you do it outside of the
I'm
class.
taking project and then they are, but I was thinking
For
to
every
myself,
letter,
That's your work,
um,
class.
that I should take like another day off just to like catch up on shit. Like those 8 hours I could actually be productive. This one's tough.
Okay.
Why? Yes.
I still have.
Why? I guess I never thought that you could get this.
Yeah, I just
Wait, 13. Oh, there's no way I can. I just already pizza.
I caught just shy of 15 pounds of lionfish on Sunday.
Nice.
Whole cooler full of them, and I sold them all and made $80.
That's pretty good. A pound or each?
It was $80 total. So they sell for $6 a pound.
That's nice.
I didn't have to fillet them, which is the best part.
Is it dangerous to take out the?
Yeah, I mean, like if you know what you're doing, then you know how to avoid the spirals. When I'm teaching other people how to do it, I tell them to take. We have C-snips, which are basically surgical snips, and snip them off, and then you can handle
And then
them.
there's no. Is it venom or poison?
It's venom.
So there's no venom left once
Yeah.
you do that.
So then you shouldn't be iterating this, you should be iterating to the word that
I even have a picture. This whole cooler full of them was awesome.
Should only take 69 minutes. AK.
First dive, I went down to 180.
Oh wow! Ever? Today?
No, it was just that the first dive of that day. I've been down to 220 hunting lions.
It was just so I was about to start it, and it's not iterations, but they were talking about
Wow. It's a lot of them.
Yeah, that's all lionfish I killed.
Jeez.
We created a bunch of them shows, binary calves.
Good for you, helping the environment one invasive predator at a time.
Yeah.
They explained it.
I had fun. I like doing it.
Yeah, it's cool. I don't get it why people always want to protect invasive species.
Yeah.
Like when it got cold this winter, there were all these people trying to protect the iguanas. Yeah, they're like, put them in their car, let them thaw. It's like, no, let them die. That's what they're supposed to do.
I'm just like,
Yeah, it's funny.
Yep.
like, that's some serious shit.
So all you have to do is like iterate.
Right, but I post to GitHub and then every
Word
time I do it,
Word
like I always post to GitHub.
Right, because out of iteration every line.
Just link it to that.
And then you say, display,
Because this is
well,
actually
where are you
the
actually displaying these lines? But is it where in the JavaScript are you displaying?
I don't know what's the solution, I just want to.
Well, that's just the rate, how are you putting it
I
on?
created this to kind of preload the images.
Hey, John, you mind helping me out a bit?
Sure.
So,
Sorry, my battery. I picked up something up the server, came like that, but it's not.
Make sure I wasn't.
So I was trying to go off the thinking components thing you were
Okay.
showing me, and I was just trying to start with building the static app as you
Okay.
like recommended. Bits and pieces of it I can kind of understand on how to formulate, and I know that they're supposed to connect with one another. So my thing being is that I
so
was
for
trying
each
to.
one, you're gonna do.
What you suggested, I was using the inspect tools to kind of go through here, so I know that
Yeah.
this part right here is the header, with that being the nav.
Right.
This here is the container with the click items there.
So for every
Right.
letter,
Right.
you're gonna push one, you're gonna add one to the array. You're gonna
So
add
I figured if I was just gonna start off with a static image, make one separate file for now,
what you're
so
gonna
to
do.
map it all out.
Display it.
And what I got to is so far, let me see. Change this.
So then what's gonna go on is this for loop is gonna grab the word for each
Okay,
letter.
so
You're gonna
I had
add
made the
an
nav
underscore
bar,
to this array.
again, similar to
So
what they had
let's say
in
the word
the,
is estimate, or
the-
letter. At the end of this for loop, you're gonna have 4 underscores.
and then I know
inside this array.
from the video,
Then
you have
after
that
the for
header,
loop is done, you're
and
gonna
that
display that
basically
array.
means this portion right here,
Yeah. So
just the text.
yeah, and then there's like the header is the blue bar at the top.
I think that one's the nav.
Nah. Oh yeah, that's the nav. Sorry, that's the nav.
But this whole box
Yeah,
here is the
that's the
header.
header. Yeah.
How would you want to display it?
It's okay. My thing being is that in trying to reconcile the two differences, like I think
That's different, right? That's
there would be one more box if I'm not mistaken. Well, actually, no.
Well,
it's
it's
not.
just.
No. So you have there's one called main, which is where the game is. It's in a tag called main. If you go back.
What do you use? Okay, so.
So right click on where the images are. Is that what you're talking about? Is that what you're missing? So you have basically their coordinates, right? You got the nav bar, you got the big jumbotron header, then you got the gain area. That's called a main tag. That all goes inside a main.
Main class, yeah.
Yeah, so that's the game thing, and that just has all the creation of images.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's the footer, and that's it. Then there's also the score part, but I think that goes in the header, right?
Part of the yeah, because the thing. The
Wait,
weird
let me
thing-
see the actual page. Yeah. So okay, so the score goes in the nav.
Yeah, and this no, I think things that this whole thing was a header because I initially thought it was nav bar and then a jumbotron, which I know is
Right. So yeah. So when you think about the hierarchy, which way the Russian dolls are going to fit, to use that analogy, you got to think about which way the state is going to flip. So does this part use the state of the game? Does the nav use the state of the game? Yeah, right. Because it has the score counter there. So the nav has to go inside the main game component because it's working off the same state as is this part here. So they both need the same parent component that can keep track of their state together. Since they share the same state. Stuff happens when you click on an image, stuff happens down here in this section, and it also happens up here in this section. Right?
I looked at it more like if you had two people watching a TV, like this, that's one guy, this is the other.
Yeah, no, it doesn't work that way. They gotta start from the same parent component, and the state is gonna go in this component. So the game component is gonna comprise all of this. It's gonna comprise the nav. It does have to comprise the header because it's in between, even though it's not using data from the state. And then the actual
It could be just hold the number.
and that's the way they did it in the example. And then it inherits here. I'll just show you the soft example.
You have a word. Like.
Because I was having trouble with, like,
for loop is gonna say
I was
for
looking
every
at the example
letter,
with the counter one,
we're
with the
gonna
bonus
add one
format,
to
where they had
display and we're gonna add
the counter as one part and the card body as another. on a separate file. And I was gonna.
So here's what they have. They have a component called game, right? This is our main component. So inside of game, we have all of these different components. Pretty much so game has pretty much everything, even the footer. Everything goes inside of game. This is the main thing. Yeah. So the whole app component equals the game component, basically. So the game component is like the main container.
Okay, that's what I didn't have.
Yeah. So game is going to be like the main container. Then let's go check out game.
Going for every letter, we're gonna add.
So inside game, you have 5 components. It looks like you have your nav component, you have your header component, you have the container component. The container component is what contains the stuff, the grid. Then you have your click item component. That's your individual.
Yeah, that much I had mapped out.
Yeah, that's your individual. Then you have footer. So that's it. So these are all the components you need: nav, header, container, click item, footer, and then game is like the wrapper for all of them. Then you have the state. You're going to keep track of the data, the array of image objects, right? Then you'll keep track of the score and then the top score. Right? Makes sense so far?
Yes.
Component did mount tells it what to do whenever the page loads or refreshes. We're going to take the data. We're going to set data to this.shuffle. So basically we shuffle our array of images. Now it's shuffled, and so we're going to set the state property data, which is the array of images, to the images which are now newly shuffled. So it will show them to us in a new order. See how that works?
More or less, yeah. I'm just trying to, my thing is that, ironically, that's more in the weeds than I'm trying to get into.
Yeah. So you just want to see how all the components fit together. So game is...
How to connect them is a more apt.
Okay, so let me show you that part then. So you have these methods, the incorrect guesses, but what you want to see is how they all work together. So we're going to render the JSX for everything. And basically what we have our nav on top, right? Our nav, we're going to pass in the score and the top score. Those are the pieces of the state that we're passing into this as props, because those are the pieces of the state that we're showing there in that component. As we saw there, those two things are there, right? So these two then become props of the nav component. So we're passing these 2 bits of information into the nav component as props, and then obviously, as you can imagine, in the nav component itself, we can just see that we're passing in the props. It's a static component, and then we're just going to output the props.score and props.topscore.
With the props, I'm trying to formulate the right question here. Okay, so with the prop score,
well, so like that's not a class that you have. So maybe let's check, just get that error and try to Google and see what we find.
I think you've got this. You seem like you're on the right track.
On the right track, but
yeah, there's just bits that you're not quite wrapping your head around.
it's kind of like trying to write a book in Spanish when you speak only half of the language.
Yeah, so what are your questions? So we know this bit of information needs to come into here, the score and the high score, right? So this is how we're passing them in. They get saved in the state, which we keep track of in our parent component, right? In the game component, which is all of these. Then this is inside of here. So it just pulls in the state in as a prop for this. So out here in our game component, we're saying, okay, we need to set up our navbar component. So here we're saying, okay, add in our navbar component here. And you're going to, when you set it up, you're going to use these 2 bits of information to do it. You're going to do this .state.score and this .state.topscore. Those are the 2 bits of information you need. So we're going to give them to you from whatever state it's in now.
So when we're doing prop, so if we were to go back to the nav component, when we're doing the props, and if I can just see it. So it's okay. I just want to.
What if they have a letter that's in there?
Okay, so when we're doing the props there, okay, so that's basically how we run in the arguments when we go to the game JS, so that props.score essentially would end up becoming this dot.
Right, exactly. And then anytime they get another point, you add it, or if the game resets or whatever, you keep track of the score and the high score.
Okay, so the props portion is starting to make more sense because I understood that the props is essentially an argument as it visibly as it highlights and stuff like that there. I was just kind of confused on how it kept.
Yeah, well, remember they're reusable components, so we have things that are pretty much the same, only one thing changed. Like we might have a greet component where it says hello, and then the name changes. So we just pass in the name, and then it says hello, whatever name we give it.
And if
so you have little bits of things that change. So that's what that's what the props are. It's the little bits of stuff that change. So we're passing it in these two little bits of stuff that change, the score and the high score, and then it shows them. And that's all it really is.
Okay.
Same thing with the images themselves. You can see that here. So for the images themselves, it looks like in our game, we're just going to put them inside a container, which means that they didn't really do this right, because they're saying that we have this container component, so it looks like they're not even really using this container component. All that it has is the CSS for container. Oh no, it has JavaScript too. Oh no.
I know, I just threw away some of them.
So sorry, I'm kind of used to this.
Would I have commented?
Okay, no. We are using our container component, and then we're passing in as the body. Remember how we showed how we can pass things in as props? Either in attributes like this, or we can pass it in as the body of our container tag. See how that works?
Sort of, yeah.
This is passing in a score as an attribute. This, we have our container tag for our container component. And we're passing in this object of stuff as the body of the tag, as the value of the tag, instead of as an attribute of the tag. As we're doing. Do you know what that means? Do you understand what that means? So an attribute is where you have score equals this thing. When we do it as the value of the tag, we have opening container tag, then we have all this stuff inside of here, then we have closed container tag. See how it's both things are passing in information to the component, but they're doing it in a different way. One is to have things in an attribute, say this thing equals this. The other thing is to say, hey, the main piece of information you want for this component is all of this.
That's kind of the part that confuses me, because if we were to go back to the nav for an example, so I understand essentially what that's trying to do, set up the counters that we can find within the nav. But if you go to the nav, Jess, for a second, if you wouldn't mind. Okay, so score. Okay, so then we were back here, so the props, that much I understood.
Yeah, and then you're just printing out props.score and props.topscore. Same as the way we did it in handlebars when we wanted to print out a variable into our template. Same as we done with string interpolation in ES6, where we have a template and then we just want to add one little bit of text that changes. Like if I have a hello greeting thing and then I just change the name, for instance. So that's all this is doing. They're reusable components. One little bit of text or information changes. Everything else stays the same, which is what makes it reusable. We pass it in using props. To output the props, you just put it inside the curly brackets as with any other JavaScript, and then you're just going to output props dot whatever property you want.
Okay. Do you mind me going to nav message? Because then the next part that confused me, I understand the props and this as we covered.
Yeah, I don't know why they're printing out score, props.score, and top score. I think if you do this, you're pretty much done. Nav message.
That's the CSS.
Yeah.
So the problem is that it's supposed to be just slash that.
Import nav
component will receive.
Yeah, is it main 6502755 something like that?
Yeah.
But I'm not calling.
Oh, so this is to handle the messaging when you guess correctly or incorrectly. I don't support their decision to put this in a component like this, but that's how they decided to do it. So this is just to let you know if you guessed correctly or incorrectly.
So they handled, they handle some of the business logic as a component
here, which didn't really make sense the way I did it. I thought maybe
because it would have made more sense to put that portion with the nav.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's part. Okay, so that
or with the main component part. So you might be able to do it a different way. Why don't you? I mean, we gotta start class anyway, but see how I think you have enough to keep going with it, and then let me know if you get stuck. If you get stuck.
The bigger issue with me, I guess, is when it comes to the different components, is just figuring out how to import and export into each one respectively.
Yeah, keep going. Read that whole article. Think about the way information flows. Keep trying to wrap your head around it. It's going to take you like a little while to get your head around it. It's a lot to absorb.
Yeah.
But yeah, just keep going with it. Let me know if you have questions. I think you're in a pretty. You have enough information at least to like keep going with it and try to figure some stuff out. And then
Practice. I get it.
It's practice. I know. You have lots of questions, but the more you put all those unknowns, it seems like you say like, wow, there's all this stuff I don't know. Like, what am I gonna do? You know what I mean? It's good to try to put that into like specific questions, which you did. Like you said, I don't know how stuff flows between components, all of that.
I remember from the last time I asked about Firebase. That was not a good session for you.
Yeah, but you got it done. Do you feel a little better about Firebase?
Well, I never finished the assignment before. I did get in that first project. I ended up doing a small portion of it, so that alone kind of gave me a better idea of Firebase.
Yeah.
But thank you, John.
No problem, Melvin. So you didn't finish Firebase homework?
No, I had just submitted what I could because that was going straight into the project. And
okay.
And the only time it started clicking after you sent the solution and while I was looking at the project. So not that I like skipping an assignment, but lesser of two evils.
Okay.
Thank you.
No problem. Just keep going with it. You're doing fine. We need to start. I'm gonna run to the bathroom.
So this one actually works. It's just the mapping is correct. Is it looking for the wrong place? So in your head, it's N5. Are you running like Goldberg or we do that? Webpack. So that you see those sources for that. Those paths are correct because you're not exposing the whole folder like that. You're just exposing the static folder. So it's looking in the wrong places because you have that appended. Could it be possibly like the Webpack scripts for like identifying anything?
Maybe, but how do I change that?
Do you know if they have access to like the Webpack scripts? I don't know. I'm playing Webpack normally.
No.
Some fabrics do make it itch, especially if you don't wash them according to their.
Well, better than the wash.
No, I meant like according to the circumstance. This cardigan, I grew this cardigan because I didn't dry clean.
Tuesdays and Thursdays.
Yeah.
I come in, Mondays and Wednesdays, and come after school, right? Yeah. And then Tuesday, Thursdays, I'll have to further off. As a part-time, and then I'll come in the mornings, and just compare it. I couldn't be having control over it.
Okay, how do you guys want to proceed? Mob program, pair program, mob? Okay, I need a new driver though. Somebody who doesn't usually drive. Are we on what? We are on. Yeah, so this is going to be a student example of what I just showed you guys, basically. we're doing the same thing. We're just doing Axios, making Ajax requests with our React app. That's what we're doing. So who's driving? Somebody who doesn't usually drive. Melvin, you drive a lot. Nelson, you don't drive very much. Go ahead. Let's get you up here. Let me plug in the display. You may want to come around on this side just because of the wires. No, it's okay. We need this for the session because we're recording it.
Oh wow, there are a lot more components in this exercise.
Especially Sunday. People who work during the week.
Is this the number 3?
Yes, this is number 3. So let's read, everyone. Let's focus up because we got a lot to get through. So it says, in this activity, we will create a simple React application with which users can query the OMDB API and display information about the movie they searched for. So this sounds a lot like the one we just did. The only thing different is that we're actually entering the thing we want to search for, and then it's going to show it to us, and we're doing OMDB and not Giphy. So instructions, first we're going to replace our React apps source folder with the unsolved source. So I can show you how to do that part, Nelson. If you just go to console on the bottom, there you go. Go to that thing, Control C, then hit up arrow twice. No, hit up arrow twice. Why did you? I don't know what you did. Can you CD back into? Hit up arrow again. Up arrow, up arrow, up arrow. Okay, go back. There you go. So now hit back key a few times. What we're trying to do is replace where it says O2 INS Ajax. So just actually delete all of that up to the O2. Just change that 2 to a 3 there. 1 more 3, yeah, exactly. Then hit tab, and then we're going to go into the unsolved folder. So type U tab. Okay, good. Enter. Copied. Oh, destination. So hit up arrow again. We deleted space, /. Space and then /. That just tells it copy it to this folder. So space and then /.
This?
Yeah, dot before the slash. Dot. Yeah, exactly. Was that 2 dots or 1? 1.
1.
Okay. Okay. So good. So we did that part. Let's go back to our instructions. Okay, number 2. This example uses Bootstrap. So let's be sure to add the Bootstrap CDN link. So somebody tell them how to copy that link and add it to our static HTML. Not for you.
I mean, Control C.
Yeah, that's pretty good. Not everyone.
Where am I? Where's the folder?
Oh, yeah, that's it. Yeah. No, you're go up to the left. Yeah, that one. Yep.
This right here?
That one. Yeah.
Because I already replaced the one in my app.
Yeah, that's fine. No, that's true. That's true. You did make a good point. So let's go to the other folder that has my.
Where is the my app?
Let's open it. So go to File, Open Folder, File menu.
Yes.
Okay.
File menu, and then Open Folder. And then we'll click where it says UCF 207, 0207. See at the very beginning there, UCF 0207. Yeah, that. Click on that, and then there should be something that says My App. There you go. Click on that, and then just click Open. No, go back. Okay. Just click on where it says UCF 0207.
Okay, understand.
Then click on My. Okay, just click Open. Okay, good. Maximize that, and then you can open up source. Now, is it in source or public?
It's in public.
Right, so it's gonna be public index dot what?
That one.
Right, and then where do we put it? Just anywhere in the head section is fine.
I think there may be one already, yeah.
Oh, okay, so they did it for us.
It's already here, right?
Oh, no, it's
We
because
did
we changed
Yeah,
it
'cause
to
we
the
use-
same index.
Well,
Oh, yeah.
we should
we're
replace
changing
it, right?
source. No, it's fine.
No, it's fine, it's already there.
it's the
fine.
same?
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah.
go back to the other window where we had our, no, you gotta switch windows.
Oh,
If you hit Alt Tab, it
that's,
will do it.
yeah.
Yeah, Alt and Tab. And then go to one of the other Sublime Text windows. Yeah, there we go. Thanks. Awesome. Okay, next, be sure to install the Axios library by running yarn add Axios in your terminal. So let's do that, yarn add Axios.
Am I in the right folder here?
Yeah, you are. Yarn add, no, we're using yarn this time as a package manager. Yarn add Axios. Everybody remembers that we're using yarn as a package manager now.
When we're using yarn, we don't use.
Yeah, no, because yarn replaces NPM.
Okay.
It does the same thing, but it does it slightly better. But it's your choice. You can choose. You could just use NPM for
But
this
they-
whole project and not
They
use yarn.
pull packages from the same place?
Yeah. Yeah. So with React app, it gives either make it work with yarn or NPM.
Okay.
But I guess they're trying to show you a newer, nicer way of doing it with yarn. So this finishes. We're gonna link our dependencies. See this link dependencies so that all dependencies don't put their own dependencies at the same dependencies. So it's, yeah, so it's preventing the copies and stuff, which happens all the time.
So it's more space efficient.
Yeah, more space efficient. Exactly. Okay, so that's done. Now let's see what else it wants us to do. Okay, so
Stop the server. We already did
the
that.
server is already running, so let's just do the yarn
I think we already did that because it was running in this window.
before, but then we stopped it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we have to do it again. So just
So we start.
yarn, yeah, yarn start. Why yarn? Yarn space start. Okay, it should open on its own.
Oh, I think you got a error.
Failed with exit code. Wait, can you go back to the console, please? Yeah, so it's out of space. So type this command. Type rm-rf space -rf space tilde, the squiggly thing at the top.
This one or this one?
No, squiggle.
Oh,
Looks like a,
yeah.
Oh, that's not.
Yeah, okay. Back tilde slash NODE tab. Tab. No modules.
Press the tab button. Is that?
Yeah. That should come up. Here, I just need to delete some stuff off here now since it's sorry. Hang on a second. Be done. Sorry about that. Okay. So let's see what else can we do. Okay, so I got all this stuff in here. Okay, it should work now. Try it now.
same thing.
Wait, no, I don't think it was the same thing. I think it was. Can you go back to the console? I think it was a different error. Was it? Okay, so can we go back to the console, please? Oh yeah, no, error undefined. Yeah, no, it is the same thing. Another space. Okay, let me try one more thing. Sorry, Nelson. Sorry. Let's try this. Trying to find. Oh yeah, I can empty the trash. That's what the problem is. Okay. Just wait for this to. Yeah, how come I didn't delete it? I don't know why. Do all. Select all. Yeah.
You want me to select all?
Yeah, no, just click trash. Or yeah, select all. Try that. Try select all. I think you're right. Control A. Control A.
Okay.
Or try edit, select all. Select all. Okay, empty trash. Sorry about this, everyone.
There you go. Guys, it's saying.
Yeah,
For the
actually,
main
no.
card box.
We deleted a lot of stuff, so. No? A lot
Again.
of space?
One of the solutions, if you Googled the error, one of the solutions was to move the npm temporary folder to like random, like a desktop folder or something, and that'll clear out the cache.
Or just delete it. Can I try something again?
Yeah.
Sorry.
Bad driver.
No, it's not the driver, it's the car. Bad car. Good job, Nelson. We're going to have you back up here in a sec. You're not done yet. You're not off the hook. So where is that node temp or npm temp? Yeah, just where is that directory?
You know if you're doing our
ls-.
This is the top solution. It has a lot of outputs. I don't know if you're running Arch Linux.
No. No, that's not it.
Works in Ubuntu, Debian, and CentOS.
What is the solution? I thought.
This one? It's one of them. That's the top one. I have no idea what that does.
Yeah, no, I thought you said delete the.
Yeah, that's the next one.
Oh, okay, so that's what I'm interested in.
You can figure npm please different bullets on npm path, but it doesn't tell you the time.
Oh, okay, it's /temp full. Okay, so let's try this. ls/gmp.
Yep, and there's a bunch of npm stuff.
Oh yeah,
so instead you could just delete the whole folder. And...
Yeah, so.
Hopefully that works.
Wait, is this good? It's really not. Yeah.
Let's try restarting.
Yeah.
I think we deleted like a lot of stuff. I can't see it really being out of space.
Well,